Alongside Brent Hubbs, I'm Austin Price for the Volquest stock report on this Missouri week. Stock up for you this week, Brent.
You know, I'm going stock up Hendon Hooker, and not because I think he's going to play, although that's, I think, a good sign for Tennessee, but I'm going stock up because to me, he has made it clear that he's Tennessee's best option at quarterback. He is their number one quarterback. He's completing 66% of his passes, which is not bad at all. 613 yards, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. He needed to complete a few more passes in the Florida game. He was victimized by some drops, and I just like where he's at. I thought they found a little rhythm with him at Florida, even though they had their struggles in pass protection. So I'm going to go stock up Hendon Hooker because I think he's going to help this offense continue to grow moving forward.
I got 2 stock ups. First, we'll go Javonte Payton. 2 weeks in a row, he's caught a touchdown. Of all the transfers, he's making as much impact as anybody else. And then second off, I'll go stock up turnovers. First 2 weeks versus Bowling Green and Pitt, Tennessee struggled. They did not force any turnovers. They obviously won it huge against Tennessee Tech. And then last week they went at 1-0 against Florida. I know it's just 1 turnover, but at the same time, this is something where you're in a hostile environment. Tennessee's able to win the turnover battle, not turn it on offense, and then get that strip by Alante on defense.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that's 2 good ones. And Tennessee has to win the turnover margin because, as we've talked about, Austin, razor thin is Tennessee's margin for error. They've got to create turnovers and take care of the football, which is really important. And we talked about Peyton in the spring or in the fall. If he could stay healthy, we thought he would have a chance to make an impact. And he's clearly the guy who gives them the best opportunity in the vertical passing game. We've seen that the last 2 weeks.
Stock down for you.
I've got a couple here as well, if that's all right. I'm going to go with a couple. First of all, I'm going to go defending the edge, mobile quarterbacks. I think that's, obviously Emory Jones gave them fits. He's going to give a lot of people fits. But you look at Kenny Pickett had a couple scrambles on 3rd down where they lost contain. I don't think it's all defensive ends. I think some of that's linebackers as well. And I think at times it's even interior defensive linemen when they're running some games and different twists and stuff up front. They've got to be better at containing the edge when they're playing mobile quarterbacks in particular, even in scramble drills. I mean, Connor, Missouri's quarterback this week is not a guy who's going to tuck it and run on design runs, but he can scramble a little bit. They're going to have to play the edge better. So that's 1 stock down for me. The other is just the penalties. This team cannot afford to have double-digit penalties. They have got to clean that mess up. I mean, it's been we've talked about it, that they've just not played clean enough football. They didn't play clean enough football in the preseason. They need to play more clean football, no question.
You sound like my wife talking to my kids. Clean that mess up. Stock down for me this week. I'm going to go sophomore wide receiving class. Jalen Hyatt's kind of been non-existent. He'll flash every now and again, but, had some drops early on in the season. Jimmy Callaway had the huge drop the other night. Does Tennessee win the game? Probably not, but it sure took the wind out of the sails when he dropped that football on that 4th down on what was a great play call by Heupel and company. And then Jimmy Holiday, gets ejected for targeting on special teams. So I'll just go stock down sophomore wide receivers. And the stock stagnant for me this week. It's just this 2021 season. I think, at best, Tennessee had, everybody had Tennessee at 3-1 at this point. They're 2-2, 0-1 in league play, which is about what everybody expected. Tennessee would lose to Florida. So stock stagnant because in league play, they still have what, everybody is hoping can be some winnable games, whether it be Missouri, South Carolina, Vanderbilt, and then maybe a coin flip game with Kentucky down the stretch in the month of November. So stock stagnant 2021 season, especially inside the SEC.
That's why this game is so important for Tennessee coming up on Saturday, as we've talked about. For me, stock stagnant is going to be this offensive line without Cooper Mays. We're going to get to see that again. Probably going to get to see it for a couple of weeks here. They're clearly better when Mays is on the field because that's their best 5. But how are they this go around without Cooper Mays? How much better is Jerome Carvin going to be in his 3rd game as Tennessee's center? What's their answer at the guard spot? What do they do at tackle? How do they shuffle those things around? Got to see what this offensive line can do and how they can develop minus Cooper Mays, who needs to stay out until that ankle gets much closer to 100% so that he can be ready for the stretch run for Tennessee. But how does that line play, I think, is a big unknown and a big question mark without him in that lineup.
He's Brent Hubbs. I'm Austin Price, and that was Max downstairs barking at whoever walked by my front door earlier in the Volquest.com stock report.